Good morning and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I'm in Dinky Doo and I'm off out again for a day's photography. I've not got Pops with me this morning, unfortunately. He's running the junior archery club that he runs every Saturday morning. So today what I've decided to do is I've decided to go to a friend of mine's hide and see what's going on at his hide. He's only 5 minutes away from my location, and my aim really is a bit of a fact-finding information trip where I can learn how he set up his hide and how I can then apply it to the hide that me and Pops have got. Pop spent the day at the hide yesterday, got some fantastic shots. He's got shots of jays, he's got shots of nuthatch, lots of small garden birds. And we're getting badgers and foxes coming in regular at night time, which it presents some really good potential when we get to those later nights as we move into the summer months. So I'm going to have a go at this hide, I'm going to see what I can learn, so come along for the journey and see what I see. We've arrived at the Ollie's hide, and it's fantastic. What I will say straight away is, my word, what a climb it is up from his house to get here. I'm out of breath. I'm definitely not as fit as I once was. It took me by surprise a little bit just how much and how steep the ground was getting up here. But his hide is absolutely fantastic. He's got lots of different props, various different ways that he's using his perches. I'll go through some of those in a minute, and then I'm going to get in the hide. I'm going to do this piece to camera quite quickly out here, because it's just starting to rain. And Ollie said to me when I arrived, he said, "You've certainly picked your weather." And my word, have I, it's blooming miserable. We've got thick fog coming in, we've got rain coming over the hills. But as you know, I think sometimes when it's raining you get some quite good shots that other people who don't put the effort to go out when the weather's bad miss. So we'll see what we get today. So I'm just going to talk you through some of these different perches and the different setups that he's got. Okay, so first thing I would say, we've got a post here, very, very simple. We've got a plank and he's drilled lots of different holes in, and that allows you to be able to cable tie your various different perches to it. He also uses some steel construction rods, and again cable tying them to that. Over here we've got a selection of quite nice mossy logs, and I've just popped some peanuts in amongst those. Hopefully we might get some birds, perhaps the jays landing on those. It's got a little bench table here, and we've got an old log on the top of that looks quite nice. It's quite well weathered, and hopefully that'll produce some nice shots with the jays. On the floor here we've got the beginnings of a dry stone wall. He says you can put that together really, really quickly and no one would know that it wasn't taken on a dry stone wall. And then at the back we've got a really nice rustic gate, covered in moss and lichens, and on the back there you can see there's a little pot of peanuts. We've got an old tree stump there. There's a big tree stump at the back there with some holly on it, holly behind it, and the woodpeckers go on that. And then we've just got an old fence post here, and again I've popped some peanuts in it. And then if I turn you around, just showing you the hides. So there are two hides to choose from. We've got the smaller hide here. There is two ports in that, so me and Pops could fit in that quite easily. And then there's a second smaller hide that's set a little bit further back. And Ollie says sometimes that produces better images just because it's that little bit further away. Ollie shoots at 500mm, I'm shooting at 400 today, so I think this is probably going to be the right focal distance from my perches. So I'm going to get myself inside, get myself settled, get myself out of this blooming rain, and see what comes along, and hopefully get a few photographs for you. So we're nicely settled in the hide now. I've got the DJI pocket on low light mode, so it looks like there's loads of light here, but in reality there's very little. And that's really important in a hide. You've got to have it dark on the inside so that the outsiders are looking in, they can't see you inside. And what I'm going to do for sort of the first half an hour at least is I'm just going to sit and watch, see what happens, see what comes in. And it was Simon Eardley that shared that little tip with me. He said, you know, sit on your hands for the first half hour and you start to learn the habits, the patterns that the birds display. So we're already getting a number of birds in. They've come in really quite quickly. We've got blue tits and chaffinches and robins, and they're all appearing on the perches just in front. So I just monitor them and watch them. The other thing is, one of the things that I really like about hide photography is when you've got inclement weather like we have today, it's barely above freezing. It's windy, and that wind chill factor is making it feel probably about -2, -3. And then on top of that, you've got driving rain. Being in a hide just takes all that away, and gives you the opportunity to photograph at a time when you really wouldn't want to be on the outside, but in relative comfort. And I love that. I love that. It's really mindful to sit in a hide all on your own, or indeed with pops, in the middle of nowhere, just watching wildlife. Fabulous. I think I've done all the sitting on my hands that I can do. We've just had the most beautiful male bullfinch come in. I absolutely love bullfinch. They're just they look a tropical bird. The coloration is so vibrant. So yeah, absolutely beautiful. Nice to see. We've also had lots of greenfinch in. We've got a wood pigeon in at the moment. He's going to hoover up all my peanuts, I'm sure. But yeah, we're getting lots and lots of birds coming in now. It's absolutely throwing it down with rain. But I'm lovely and dry in here, and I enjoy the sound of the rain on the top of the hide, which is really nice. So I think it's about time I get the camera on and I see what shots I can get. With the rain flowing as it is, I think I'm probably going to slow my shutter speed down and see if I can't capture the streaks of the rain in those shots. The only downside to that is, of course, I'm photographing mainly small woodland birds, and they're very, very flighty. They're constantly on the move. So trying to get them sharp, but at the same time capture the streaking rain, is a real challenge. Let's see what we can achieve though. So we've just had a real flurry of birds. The jays have come in, which is fantastic. They've mainly stuck to the the gate post that's at the back of the kind of the feeding zone. And I've got a couple of photographs, but to be honest with you, it's had its back to me. And then the bullfinch has come in, the male bullfinch. So I've got a couple of shots of the male bullfinch, which, as I said previously, I absolutely love them. It appears to have, the male bullfinch that came in then appeared to have something wrong with its foot. It was only kind of gripping the perch with one foot, which meant that it was really unstable and didn't hang around very long at all. I certainly couldn't get any video for you, but I was able to get just a couple of snatched stills. And then we've just had a buzzard calling overhead, which is fantastic to hear. Now there is a deer carcass at the back. It's well scavenged of the deer carcass. There's not much on it, but you never know. There is the slightest of chances that maybe the buzzard would come down. That was really nice. So the jay came in, landed on the fence post, just as the gate post. I'm going to keep calling it a fence post. The gate post, just as I explained. Oh, he's back again. Yeah, the jay came in, landed on the gate post at the back, and then he hopped over to the fence post, which was really, really nice. So I've got some nice shots of it on that. I think you'll see from the video that I've captured just how windy it is, because the jay's feathers were blowing everywhere. But the jays are coming in quite frequently now, which is nice, so I'm able to anticipate their arrival, make sure that I'm focused on that gate post, and get some shots of those. And when the jay's not coming in, I'm being entertained by greenfinch, and there's loads of them. I've never seen so many greenfinch just on the feeder in front of me. Got female bullfinch. You can probably hear now that the rain has well and truly picked up. And it's bouncing off the roof of this hide. It's not deterring the birds too much though. Still getting plenty of the greenfinches, robins, occasional bullfinch coming in. I think it's put the jays off though. Well, for the first time ever, the DJI Pocket has just said the temperature's too low, and the handle can't charge the main camera because it's too cold. And I have to say, I completely agree. It is freezing today. I've got my heated gilet on. That's on full power. I know a number of people have mentioned about heated socks, and I think that's definitely something that I'll be looking into in the future. It's not deterring the birds though. We're getting a really kind of steady visit now from the jays. They're consistently dropping in on the higher tree stump and then dropping down onto the gate post, feeding on the gate post and flying off. And so what I'm trying to do all the time is just kind of anticipate when they're going to fly in, because realistically once they're feeding, they've got the back to you and it's really difficult to get some decent shots. So all the time I'm waiting till it just lands on the perch, and at that point it's quite alert and looking around, and that's the moments that I'm trying to capture the photographs. And then occasionally they're coming down to that horizontal log that I talked about in the introduction to the video. It's really quite a nice weathered log, and they sit on that, and that's really quite close. So I'm getting some really nice frame filling shots of the jay. And then the other thing that's been really, really nice has been the bullfinches. They've been absolutely entertaining, they really have. There was a moment where the male bullfinch was kind of feeding through the undergrowth, and any of the these all brambles, and it was feeding in amongst the brambles, mainly from the seed that's dropped out of the feeder, and any of the chaffinches that landed on the floor to kind of compete for that food. You see why they get the name bullfinch, because they absolutely bull them out of the way. They really do. They boss the other birds around relentlessly. I know that's not why they get called a bullfinch, but it's a name befitting of them. So I've just been out of the hide, topped up a couple of the feeders, moved some of the perches and props around, just so I've got a few different opportunities for different shots. The whole time I was doing it, the jay was in the tree at the side of me, shouting at me as if to say, "You need to go now. I want to come down and get me breakfast." So as soon as I've gone, he's moved closer. He's back in that tall tree where he always starts, and hopefully he's going to drop down onto one of the perches quite soon. I've just built up the dry stone wall effect just in front of that horizontal perch, that horizontal log. See if I can't get them to land on there. Something a bit different with the textures of the stone in front of the bird as opposed to the gnarled wood. And then I've put in a different branch, quite a substantial thick branch, covered in lichen, and I'm hoping I've put that leaning towards where the feeder is, with the hope that they'll just drop onto that before going onto the feeder. And in particular, I'm looking for things like the bullfinch to land on that. And then I've just made sure that everywhere where there should be peanuts, it's got peanuts, and so it's ready for the kind of the second session. And I think I'm probably going to get another hour and a half out of it here. You can probably hear from the voice. I'm shivering now, so I'm pretty cold. So I'll probably give it an hour and a half, and then I'll probably call it a day. But it's been absolutely wonderful, and there's been no end of supply of birds coming in, creating some fantastic opportunities to capture some birds. I know the video footage is only video footage on a feeder, but I just had 2 male bullfinches on that feeder, and that was absolutely exquisite. And then what was happening is every now and again they were readjusting so that they were in a better position on the feeder, and they're the moments that I was waiting for, because they almost hover just off the side of the feeder, as they're trying to kind of recalibrate and drop into the location that they want to perch. So they're the moments that I'm trying to just capture, where it's hovering. The chaffinches are doing exactly the same. My shutter speed is at about 1600th of a second. It's probably a little bit slow, that, for small garden birds, small woodland birds, to be able to freeze the wings. But actually I'm not bothered by that. I get a little bit of blur within the wing movement, but as long as the head and the eye are sharp, I think that's probably adequate, and it creates a bit of a different effect on the images. And there's not a lot of light, as you can imagine, with it being foggy and raining. So 1600 is about as high as I dare push that ISO. That shutter speed before my ISO starts creeping above 10,000. Oh, we've got some goldfinches in now. That's a first for the goldfinch. The activity's really picked up again now, so we're getting lots and lots of the finches in. So we've got goldfinch, greenfinch, chaffinch, bullfinch, all on this feeder. And because it's quite busy, they're having to queue up, and it's that creates the photographic opportunities. Obviously I don't want to be photographing them on the feeder, but I do want to be photographing them on the perches at the side, or indeed while they're hovering to try and wait their turn to get onto the feeder. So we've just had the woodpecker in as well now. Great spotted woodpecker. That's one of the birds that I have been waiting for. Unfortunately, I've reached that point where I'm a bit cold and my reactions have slowed down, so I didn't get any photographs of the woodpecker this time, but it's definitely been. We've also had a dunnock come through, which is nice. It's another species, and the jay's just been back. But I'm probably going to call it a day there. I've done 4 hours in this hide in sub-zero temperatures, and I'm just absolutely frozen. More than anything, I cannot feel my toes any longer. I've definitely got some nice images. It's definitely a hide I'm going to come back to. You know, it's 5 minutes from where I live, and Ollie's put a lot of work in here, and what he's created is really, really quite good. Lots of variety, lots of different types of birds, some lovely clean backgrounds, some nice perches, and some really, really good photographic opportunities. And more than anything, despite the cold weather, it's always really, really good to get out with the camera and just spend a couple of hours in nature. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you're not yet subscribed, come on. I say it every video, about 45% of people who watch my videos are not subscribers. Costs you nothing, does wonders for the channel. Massive thanks to all those that do, so thank you. If you want to show that bit of extra support, got to buy me a coffee. Web page at the bottom. Be quite nice to get a nice warm coffee right now. So from the wonderful jays, the stunning bullfinches, and this wonderful hide, until next time, ta-ra.